Welcome to the MLB Network Podcast. I'm Robert Flores. The London Series is back. 2024, it's the Phillies and the Mets. And Major League Baseball is partnering with BBC's Gladiators. Season 2 coming up later this summer. And we're pleased to be joined by Apollo and Fire from BBC Gladiators. And they are going to be taking part on Friday, the day before the series, a 2v2 home run derby style competition. They're going to be paired up with a former major leaguer. Apollo, you're going to be paired with former Philadelphia Philly Chase Utley, and Fire is going to be paired up with former New York Met Daniel Murphy. They're going head-to-head as part of MLB London Series T-Square Takeover. It's 2v2 in the cage. Apollo, let me start with you. Give us a sense of what your, I guess, comfortability is with baseball and swinging a bat so far?
Well, I'm one day into my baseball journey. I picked up a baseball for the first time yesterday, but it felt pretty good, you know, swinging that thing around. It's quite cathartic in a way. You picture that ball coming at you, someone's face, that maybe an Xbox boss or something, someone that you don't quite like. But it's good. The game, we went to a game yesterday.
Yes.
Mets game, right? Cool atmosphere. Yeah, it's been amazing so far.
And Fire, you and Apollo are world-class athletes.
Thank you.
What is this? I mean, you're clearly new to the game, but what have been your impressions about how your body adapts and the movement? And I mean, is it just so foreign to you? What have been your impressions?
Yeah, I think me coming from a background where I just running a straight line, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Hand-eye coordination is very different. That's not something that you hone. But I think being, like you said, a world-class athlete, you just learn how to be adaptable. You learn to pick up things. And I'm a bit of a geek like that. So
yeah.
I like learning new stuff. Working with Daniel was great because he's like that as well, and getting stuck into like the real technicalities of stuff. So I've loved learning something new about the game for me.
We're going to go back to the baseball in just a second, but I want to talk about the Gladiators franchise as a whole. Growing up, coming up, numerous people here used to watch American Gladiators. What is it? First of all, let me ask you, how did you get approached? Were you familiar with the franchise, and what did you think when you were first asked, Apollo?
So definitely familiar with the franchise. I was a little kid watching it on my couch at home. There would be hell on a Saturday night if me and my brothers couldn't watch it. Right, there'd be trouble for my mother if we couldn't get in front of the TV and watch it. And it's almost become a part of kind of British entertainment pop culture. I think it's probably the only thing that we've taken from America and made, I would say, make it a little better. Normally, you guys take our stuff and make it 10 times better. It's like the only thing where we've kind of taken it and it's kind of become a household show. And the timing is just so good, right? Mm-hmm. Because people like myself, like Fire, we were kids watching that show. Now there's a lot of other people within the same age range demographic who now have their own kids, and they want to. I think there's a lot of people who force their kids to watch it because they loved it so much as a kid themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got approached. I mean, it's about a year and a half ago now, right? They went on the search for kind of elite athletes. That's why you know, Fire from a Olympian background, myself, rugby, NFL. We got approached a while back. Hey, do you fancy just sending in an audition tape? And we didn't know it was for the Gladiators at the time, right? So I thought, hey, why not? Did it, and then you fast forward a year and a half, and we're on the biggest show in Britain. So it's been crazy.
Fire, obviously there is a physical component to this, to the Gladiators and the episodes. You're competing head to head against contestants. It's physical. It's aggressive. How does that satisfy your competitive juices? How does that, are you able to find similarities from your competitive background as both a sprinter and a bobsledder? Does that satisfy that itch, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. It's definitely, like Apollo said, it's the biggest show on British TV at the moment, and to be a part of that is not just iconic, but it feels great as an athlete to be able to do what you do best, but on the screen. That's like everyone's dream. And I did, you do compare it. I get asked all the time, it's like being in the Olympic Games, what's better, or being on the show. And I think as well for a lot of us, like I love TV, I like being in front of the screen, so that satisfied that part of that as well, the kind of the performance element of it, but also you get to do what you do best, which is just basically smash people in and really get stuck in, and also the games are different, something else to learn again. So we really had to tap into our own physical capabilities and athleticism and show it on screen, but really be a part of a massive team. So it has all the great things that sports has for us as being athletes, but also a bit of razzmatazz and dazzle, which we love as well.
What kind of physical toll does the filming the episodes, filming the season take on you guys?
Oof. I did compare it to doing, I've done a heptathlon, which is like 7 events in Olympic Games.
Okay.
Back-to-back heptathlons.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, Olympic Games. It feels very similar because, TV, very long hours in terms of filming. So, we're looking at 12-hour days every day filming the show. And we have the adrenaline as well of being in a sport when you're going up and down, warm-ups, cool-downs, the crowds, just the feeling of like with the kids and the families. Like all of that takes, emotional toll, and you're constantly being on screen as a character, and you're showing out on screen as well. So there is a lot into it, and you do have to lean on your experience. So both Apollo and I are very experienced in that field. So I know how to manage my energy. I know when to make sure that I'm warmed up, ready, and to go on, but also know how to bring myself back down, and obviously fuel up as well. It feels like a real sport. Like you are going head to head with the contenders, and we want to go out there and win as well. So we're really competitive.
Apollo, approximately how long does a season take to film?
So we squeeze everything into, it's a 12 episode season.
Okay.
And we squeeze everything into 12 days, pretty much. We do an episode a day. So the schedule is busy, but that's the best time for us, right? But, as Fire was saying, we're not playing chess or checkers. As soon as that whistle goes, it's kind of, some of those games are kind of full contact, tackling and rolling around and throwing people around and falling off of, we've got one game that's kind of 25 meters in the air with a 15-meter drop into a cargo net. So you fall a little funny, you could end up in trouble, right? So there's that danger element. Even though it is a TV show, there is that kind of jeopardy part to it.
Fire touched on it earlier about the performance level of this. I always equated to it as there's a professional wrestling aspect to it. And I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I understand you got involved a little bit in a WWE event. Talk to me a little bit about building your character. Developing your character and how you apply that during the course of filming, during the course of competition.
Sure. I guess it is like Fire kind of alluded to. We're now half athlete, half entertainer. When I was around with the WWE guys, they kind of described it as physical theater. Yes. And I'm not sure if we're that far down the line as those guys are, right? We don't have storylines, et cetera, but we are expected to, we play the game. Hopefully it goes really well, and then we have a little bit of mic time afterwards, and our job is to pull audiences in, entertain the live crowd. So I think as athletes, that's where the development part is for us, and what's probably exciting for us both is we've got a huge bank of stuff as an athlete, but to keep developing, how do we expand ourselves like that, right, into an entertainer? So it's been cool, hasn't it? And I think people are making their way. We've all I think the guys who put the show together have made a really good go of making a very diverse group. Not one person is the same. So there's a lot of different personalities, a lot of big personalities, and it's just a really fun thing to be a part of.
Fire, I want to ask you about, you touched on it earlier, you're a world-class athlete. You're the first UK let me get this right. First female UK athlete to participate in both the winter and summer games. Yep. You were a sprinter. You are a sprinter. But then you transitioned as a bobsledder. And that was your experience in the winter games. What was that like? It was
very, very, very different. It was a massive learning curve for me. And like I said, I like to learn new things. Like I'm really nerdy like that. So it was a nice time as well in my career, kind of coming out the back end of my career, transitioned to something new where it was very individual before in sprinting. It was just me on the line, and then suddenly I'm in, a bobsleigh going down 90 miles an hour with another teammate that's got kind of my life in their hands. True. And learning all of those parameters and being, like you said, winter games. When I went to my first winter games, it was in your, I don't know, like Fahrenheit, but in degrees Celsius, it was like minus 26. And in Beijing in my summer games, it was 38 degrees. So that's like, it's 100 Fahrenheit, right? Completely different, but I still have to do the same task. I have to push hard and fast for as long as I can. So learning that for me, it was a great time for me to transition and learn those things. But it was also allowed me to make history, right? And to set another goal for myself, which you need as a performer, as an athlete. You want to always keep the goalpost moving so that you can keep improving. And that's what I loved about it.
Speaking of goalposts, you are a multi-sport athlete in your own right. You played professional rugby, but you also were a member of the Atlanta Falcons practice squad for how many seasons?
3 seasons. Yeah.
How did that happen? And what was your impression of your experience in the NFL?
Yeah, so 2-sport athlete, maybe 3, depending on how this thing goes with the baseball. Who knows?
Yes.
Seen him swing, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy thing. It's something, coming from the UK, an experience that I never ever thought I would get the chance to do. Kind of where it started was the NFL were looking for kind of international athletes to help grow the game.
Yes.
They wanted someone who'd represented England, which I had. So I ended up becoming the first British rugby player to sign for an NFL team. Became the first international player to captain an NFL team in a preseason game. So that was a wild ride, and I thought that was going to be probably the craziest thing I've ever done. And then we go and put the sparkly spandex on, and it gets a little crazier.
Right.
But yeah, I had an amazing time in the NFL. American sports, it's just the very epitome of it, right? There's no higher. And as soon as I walked through the door, I could just see that it was so competitive. Everything for you to be the best athlete you could be was there at your fingertips, and that's what I wanted. I wanted an opportunity. I'd done a lot with rugby. I'd represented my country. I wanted an opportunity just to kind of put my back against the wall again, start from zero, and that was that was definitely the experience that gave that for me. But as an athlete and also as a person, right, getting out of my comfort zone, going to a different country, the States was amazing. The people were amazing to me. It's just something I really, really enjoyed.
Who were some of the players that were on the Falcons team when you were?
Wow, I was sat on the same row as Julio Jones,
okay,
Matt Ryan, Keanu Neal. We had Devontae Freeman at the time.
Julio Jones must have been just a freak athlete to see in person, right?
Yeah, I never. People always ask me what it's like, right? And there is a baseline to the NFL where there aren't any bad athletes, but there are some guys who are just a little bit a step above, right? And he was one of those for sure. Seeing a guy his size, being able to move, being able to stop on a dime, change direction, but also in the locker, because coming from England, I probably didn't know how he was just a teammate in the changing room to me, right? Like I didn't know he couldn't go to the mall, or he couldn't. He hasn't been to the mall in the last 10 years because he's so famous, right? But I didn't see that, and he was just as grounded, just as humble, just as nice as everybody else, right? So it was an amazing thing. Yeah,
Apollo mentioned about how professional sports leagues in this country obviously trying to grow the game, and that is what Major League Baseball is trying to do, trying to take the game across the pond and tap into that market. I think fans in the UK, London, they are so passionate, no matter the sport. I'm wondering if what you can tell us about the passion that fans in London and in England and the UK, how they digest sports and how you think Major League Baseball can kind of tap into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think in the UK and like especially in London, there's definitely patriotism. Like they're a very proud nation, as well as like the States. You guys are super proud, and I think we have elements of that for sure. Football, for example, soccer being our primary sport, you can see that with the teams and the rivalries. You can see that it really hits deep, and everyone takes things very personally, like it's your home and represent those things. It's like me being a supporter of my own team. It's from when I grew up, when I was young, and I've been a part of like a fan club of Arsenal Football Club, for example, since the 96, the Invincibles and things like that. And it's because I grew up in those areas, and it's very, very similar to being at home. So I think bringing something like the sport to London is going to open doors. It's always nice to have something new. They like to experience different sports because we do feel sometimes, I think, quite small when we compare it to something like the States.
Right.
And we look to you guys as, like you said, the epitome of what it is, and also kind of lean into a little bit of the craziness around like being really involved and being in. So that's what I think definitely the UK bring. I think there's definitely room for us to grow. We are really, really tiny, but what we make, we're small in size, but make up in passion. So. Well,
and also, Apollo, I'm not sure how aware, but there is the World Baseball Classic, which happens every few years. Great Britain had a team last season and did very well by all accounts. And you could tell that the organizers of that team just want to take the game to the people and show them that, hey, there's room for all sports, but particularly baseball. Cricket is very, very popular. You've had just a brief taste of, taking some swings in the batting cage. Could you kind of see any similarities between the two, and maybe how that can kind of help baseball with a little foothold across the pond?
Yeah, I think so. There's probably some natural kind of coming together from the two sports. I think what's really cool about the baseball is the ability to come in at almost a grassroots level now. Exposing we're looking for that exposure for the youth, the kids.
Take it to the kids,
the
right?
exciting new.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the guys here. They were saying that I think in London now there's 400 odd schools with baseball on their sporting curriculum.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and that's what we love for people who've maybe missed out on maybe rugby or football or cricket, right? There's another sport here that might be for you. You know what I mean? I think that's providing options for guys. That's the way to do it because, it's a win-win for everyone in that sense.
Yeah. We're going to play a quick game here, but first, last question here before we get into that. Fire, what are your expectations for the 2v2 home run derby, the Friday before the Phillies and the Mets? I mean, there's going to be people there. You're used to performing on stage, but look, there's going to be a little bit of out of your element to this whole event. What are your thoughts on that?
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, we're completely out of our element. But do you know what? I think it's very similar to being Gladiator. Like, we've been in an arena before where it was a bit out of our comfort zone, going on that stage for the first time, I think, not knowing in the games, things like that. So I'm taking that same mindset. And my thing is always managing expectations. So I'm going there with not. You go in there and do your best, have fun with it, and hopefully put on a show for everyone. Yeah. That's what we're going to do.
Paulo?
Yeah, it's all about putting on a show, baby.
There we go. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Those are nice. Those are nice. You're ready to go. You're ready. Just don't hit with those, right? You might hinder your.
You could. A little bit yeah.
Okay, so what I thought we would do here to kind of before we wrap up here is I'm going to give you some team names, some team nicknames. A few of them are made up, and then one of them is an actual Major League Baseball team. So I saw this on another podcast, so I'm totally stealing this.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, shout out to Gary. Gary, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, so you guys tell me which is the real Major League Baseball team here. I don't know if you maybe want to do as a team or, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to call it on the fly. I'm going to go one by one. So, Fire, you're going to be first here. All right? So, name the actual Major League Baseball team. The Defenders, the Guardians, or the Vigilantes. Can you name the real Major League Baseball team?
So I went straight to Guardians. I don't know why. But that's
Guardians is correct. Hey! You are correct. The Cleveland Guardians. Excellent, Fire. Excellent. Okay, Apollo, you're on the clock here.
Okay.
The Madres, the Padres, or the Bambinos. Which is the real Major League Baseball team?
That's going to be the Padres.
The Padres is correct. Now, you have, I feel like, maybe a little bit of advantage. You've spent a lot of time in the States. Maybe you pick it up by osmosis, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, so both of you are doing excellent. Okay, Fire, your turn again. The Rockies, the Adirondacks, or the Cascades. Which is the real team? The pressure is on.
I'm going to say, I was going Rockies, and something to go Cascade, but I'm going my first answer. I'm going to say Rockies.
The Rockies is correct. Wow. The Colorado Rockies is the answer. You guys are 2 for 2.
Heating up in here.
I know, you guys are great.
It's like on the plane, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, Apollo. Which is the real team? The Bluebirds, the Blue Jays, or the Blue Herons?
Blue Jays.
Blue Jays is correct.
Yeah.
The Toronto Blue Jays north of the border here.
I don't know why I know that one. But
Man, I thought I was going to be able to stump you guys, but not so far. All right, Fire, let's bring it home with this one. Which is the real team? The Barracudas, the Sunfish, or the Rays?
Real team. Rays?
Mm-hmm. What is the real team? The Tampa Bay Rays is correct.
Oh, look at that.
You got them all.
I think they call that a home run.
I think they do.
Hey, nicely done. That is indeed a home run. So, BBC Season 2, The Gladiators, when does it premiere?
It'll be back out in January 2025.
Yeah.
Okay, can't wait for that. And filming begins pretty soon, right?
Yeah, in the summer, in August.
All right. Well, thank you very much for visiting us here on the MLB Network Podcast. Best of luck to you in the 2v2 Home Run Derby competition. It's going to be Apollo and Chase Utley taking on Fire and Daniel Murphy Friday, June 7th in London, right before the Phillies and the Mets do business in the London series. Thanks again for coming in, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, amazing.
You got it.